If you've ever been worried about your safety, out on the streets or in the pubs, then this is the programme to watch. Welcome to the Crime Squad. Hello, I'm Jess Redford, part of the Crime Squad, here to tackle crime. Each week we'll investigate a different problem brought to our attention by you at home, and we hope to make a difference. From car crime to vandalism, our team of experts will come to your street or town to give advice and offer solutions. Today, the Crime Squad's come here to the Crazy Horse Saloon in Exeter to look at one situation that really concerns us, and that's violence in pubs. We'll be looking at what we can do to this pub to make it a safer place to drink. We'll also be looking at other aspects of personal safety as well. But first, let's meet the team. First, there's Detective Inspector Howard Groves of the Metropolitan Police. You may already have heard of Howard because he was on holiday in New York once when, unarmed, he collared a gunman. Well, what have you been getting up to?
Jess, we've been trying to find out what happens if you come across a crime in the street. And the question is, would you have a go?
Howard teamed up with Private Detective Zena Scott Archer to find out would you step in if you saw an assault.
I'd have probably ended up, sparking the guy myself.
And next, there's our very own criminologist, Professor David Wilson. And sitting next to him is Constable Baz Javid of the Avon and Somerset Police. Now these two have been finding out whether we lay ourselves open to crime.
That's right, Jess. I've been trying to find out if people are happy to hop into unlicensed minicabs late at night.
And I've been to busy shopping centres to give people some advice on how to prevent getting mugged.
I'll have that.
All right.
And finally there's me. In real life I'm a barrister, but this weekend I decided to try my hand at being a bouncer.
You've been in already, haven't you? Yeah, go on.
Well, you've now met the team, so it's time to get going.
If we just butt in for a moment. Brian, I know you've been chatting with the guys about the problems you've had running the pub. What exactly has been going on?
Well, basically, Jess, we took over this pub about 8 weeks ago. It was a notorious trouble pub. We've turned it around and themed it as the Crazy Horse Saloon, which now we are very busy, but I do feel that the ambience is not quite right.
I mean, are you still suffering from skirmishes and so on?
We do get the odd skirmish on the weekend, which I'm sure you'll probably see.
Last week, Baz dropped into the Crazy Horse Saloon to find out exactly what we were up against.
From my experiences of being on patrol, there's only so much you can learn about a pub during the day. It's now 9:30, it's a Saturday evening, and I'm outside the Crazy Horse. I'm going to go inside and see if there's any real crazy horses in there. It doesn't take a genius to realise that this is a fun pub, with people constantly coming and going. But what was surprising is that the pub gets 700 people through its doors on a Saturday. That's a lot for a pub this size. I've been here for a while now. It's absolutely heaving. There's no space at all to move about. It's still, the music's very loud, but most of all, it's extremely hot. Gonna definitely have to do something to bring the temperature down. Cool things down a little bit. It's been an absolutely wild night tonight. There's been so much happening, but there's a lot that can be done. Some examples are just like I mentioned earlier on, the temperature, that can be turned down to cool things down a little bit. The most obvious thing is the spaces. There's so many tight gaps that people have to get through to get somewhere. The dance floor, you have to walk straight through the dance floor to get to the toilets, or even the stairs, so tight, people bumping into each other all the time. There's so much that can be done.
Only a few of us will be likely to encounter violence in pubs and clubs, but the statistics do make grim reading.
It's Friday morning, and we've only got until opening time on Saturday night to try and help Brian and his customers feel a little bit more safe. So we better get going.
I suppose my greatest concern, having looked around a little bit, is like, for instance, you know, you got the pool table at the back, and unfortunately you get about 20% of violent crime actually happens as a result of people playing pool.
You've got 3 cameras, yeah? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, I'll just go through them. As I was looking at them, the first picture here, that's not a bad angle shot you got there, but the only thing is, you're not covering too much of the pool table side. On the far side, see, it's not very sharp at the top there. But the most disturbing one is this one here. Now, you can see the toilet corridor, but you can only see the entrance to the ladies. You can't see the gents at all.
As you come in, you can see it's quite dark, it's very masculine, it's got a kind of edge to it. We can do something with the lighting, we can look at some of the tables. You know, if you were coming in through that door, you're going to bump into these sorts of things, you're going to knock drinks over.
Tense situations in pubs can often be diffused by someone stepping in at a key moment and calming the situation down. But what about out on the streets? The Home Secretary has urged us to step in if you ever see antisocial behaviour. We thought we'd put this to the test, and what better place than the Jack Straw's home constituency of Blackburn? We sent our own private eye, Zena Scott Archer, to investigate.
Give that lad his badge.
Yeah.
Thursday afternoon in Blackburn, and these passers-by are having their citizenship put under secret scrutiny. I recruited some young actors to help me stage an incident.
No, but it is. Nothing, you know.
Okay, boys, that's enough, that's enough. How many of us have witnessed scenes like that and walked on by and wishing we could have helped, but couldn't? While the boys go through their act again, I'm going to be asking passers-by whether they think they should help. And I'm going to be recording their reactions on a camera, which is hidden in my handbag. Our other camera is hidden across the road from this busy corner, just yards from Jack Straw's constituency office. I've got something to tell you. I've got something to say. These boys, they're fighting. Don't you think we ought to get some help for them? Do you think we should call the police? These boys over here seem to be bullying this young fellow. I'm just wondering whether they ought to intervene. They won't let him go. I've been watching them for quite a bit. Don't you think we should give them some help? He's obviously... Yeah? Well, that young man didn't hesitate. But when should you step in? Howard went to see the Home Secretary to ask him when people should have a go.
I'm not asking any member of the public to have a go. I think that if you are reasonably fit and healthy and feel that you can cope with it, then you should do so.
This boy's being really pilloried. Do you think we ought to intervene or get some help?
Oh, I'd leave them. They could be boisterous, they could make trouble, they could be abusive to you, so no, I think you're better off just leaving them to it.
Well, do you think the police would come if we called them, you know, if we engaged the public to try and sort these things out?
Well, maybe, but I think if you told them what it was for, it'd take a bit longer than usual.
It's not the police who commit crime, it's the citizens of this country who commit crime or let it go on in front of their eyes.
I'm going to call the police. Well, that test went well. In the next one, I think I'll have a go. We pick up our next citizenship test on CCTV as these two actors leave a busy store in Blackburn. Our hidden cameras follow the boys as they're sat upon by two actors playing teenage thugs.
What, are you soft or something?
No, sister.
Here I go. What's going on here? But what will happen when the thugs turn on me? Give that lad his badge. Yeah. That young man could see that I was in danger, but he was watching to see if things got much worse.
I think your old age is playing up a bit, love.
Don't you speak to me like that. I'm going to call for the police.
Oh, do what you want and try it and we'll have your pension as well, love.
Now, if you'd have laid a finger on her, I'd just run up and, you know what I mean? I'd have probably ended up, sparking the guy myself. I would have done.
Where would you expect members of the public to draw the line when having a go?
So look, I mean, I've been in 4 situations over the last 20 years. In each case, I'd used what force I thought was reasonable. In one case, it meant having to sit on the person in the road whilst he was struggling.
Would you actually do that again?
Yes, I mean, leave aside from I'm Home Secretary, and so I'm accompanied by police officers wherever I go. So it's rather different. But yes, I would. I would. And I don't regard myself as a have-a-go hero.
Have-a-go heroes were in short supply in Blackburn as we ran through our act 6 times during the afternoon. We were just going to give up when this bold young man came along to save me from our thugs. Don't you speak to me like that. He turned out to be an off-duty security guard. Around 200 people walked on by in our test. 6 decided to have a go. The police advice is not to put yourself at risk and to contact them instead. But no one at all phoned the police during our day in Blackburn.
I understand why people are frightened about coming forward, but the police are only as good and can only be as good as the communities which they are serving, and the ultimate responsibility for getting crime down and for improving people's behaviour rests on all of us.
Back at the pub, our assessment was complete, and it was time to set to work our team of joiners and electricians. Although we can make this pub a safer place to drink, we also can do a lot to protect ourselves by the way we behave. This week, we sent Baz shopping to see if some people offer an open invitation to muggers.
Cameras keep an eye out for shoppers at Sheffield's Meadowhall Centre, but what are we doing to watch our own backs? I came with safety expert Diana Lamplugh to meet Bob Turney. 20 years ago he was a mugger. Today he's a probation officer and joins Diana with tips for the public on protecting themselves. So Bob, just going back into your past, you used to mug people for a living. And what actually got you into that in the first place?
Well, all my offending was addiction-led. I had a tremendous drug problem, and I found that mugging was a quick way of turning over to get the money for the next fix.
What made you pick someone out specifically?
Yeah, anybody really. I mean, I avoid elderly people, but anybody really.
Right, so Bob, is there anyone around here you can see at the moment?
As it happens, there's a woman on the second table along. She's just put her purse into her bag, which is on the chair. So it's just as simple as that.
All right.
All right. So we've been filming from the BBC.
Yeah. Have you ever had anything stolen from you?
No.
Never. Well, that could have been the first thing. If you see the lady behind you, she's got her bag between her legs, look.
See the lady behind, look. She's got her bag between her legs.
Yeah.
It's very much, I couldn't have got down there, but I could have gone, thrown it over there and gone.
Yeah.
It didn't take long to find another soft target. Do you mind if we take your bag?
Cheers, I'll have that.
All right.
It's all right.
Sorry to startle you.
Your bag was there, you see how easy it was?
Yeah.
Oh, you can put your foot through it?
Yeah.
All right, this book. Simple like that. Yeah.
And I didn't just have eyes for the girls. Would you have gone for someone like him, Bob?
It's got a big sign on your backside, nick me, nick me.
What do you reckon you could do then to stop that from happening?
I reckon I could probably put it in this pocket instead.
Yeah? Well, I'd actually go so far as to say that some people actually go around looking like, you know, potential victims.
Some of the people just wander around looking at the shops. They're not thinking where they're going or what they're doing.
We kept a lookout for body language that screamed, "Mug me."
Yeah, look at him.
Excuse me, mate. Can I just have a quick chat? As you were walking along, what were you doing?
Counting me money and trying to pull
That's
the key
it,
out.
yeah, and you were totally unfocused. Yeah. I mean, if I'd have come up to you and grabbed your money, I bet you wouldn't have had a clue what has happened before I was about 3 miles down the road. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Can I just have a quick chat a moment? You're walking away, you've got your hand like this, you know, you've got...
Yeah.
If we wanted to nick this money, we would have had it and gone before you'd even known about it.
You take it, somebody middle-aged of my stature, is able to still go around and mug people in this day and age. I think, you know, the public's really got to be more aware of what they're doing.
It's Saturday morning at the Crazy Horse, only 5 hours before the pub fills up for the FA Cup.
Get on with some work. First time I've worked in a wee while. When you finish, can you come and do my house as well?
Well, it seems appropriate they've chosen the cool one to turn on the air conditioning.
Right, Steve, let's have a look in your fridge. Remember earlier on I mentioned about glass bottles?
Yep, sure.
Yep. Right, let's have a look at this, right, okay? Got a normal alcopop drink here, which is glass, and then here we've got the same drink, but in plastic bottles. In your experience, are punters still likely to buy the plastic ones?
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. I mean, at the end of the day, I've actually been to clubs before and drunk out of plastic bottles.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste any different. It's obviously a lot safer as well.
The front section of the pub needed attention, as the bare walls and floors created an aggressive atmosphere. so we decided to try a bit of interior decorating.
In terms of softening, the wall, that would be great. I think it should hang the other way. There you go.
Hey, presto. Voila. There we are. Well done,
Carol Smiley, eat your heart out. It's kind of got a Trompe d'Oeil idea. A Trompe d'Oeil idea. So that's lost everybody.
Forget the psychology. Forget the psychology. I think we just stick it the other way around.
Right, Steve, let's put the theory to the test. We've got a plastic bottle here and a glass one here. Now, obviously, the plastic one, very, very safe. Can't do much with that. It's very difficult to break. But the glass one, you smack that. You can got the end here now. That can be used as a very effective weapon. And you saw how easily it smashed.
Here you go, barrister.
There we are.
It's the wrong way around.
I did say it was the wrong way around, did I not?
No,
and you wouldn't listen to me.
Well,
it is. Yeah, it's the wrong way around.
Oh, it is.
The police got it right, didn't they?
One of the things we wanted to change was the CCTV system, but our professor still wasn't convinced about whether the pub needed a system at all.
That's, of course, the big difficulty about CCTV. It doesn't stop bad behaviour.
Yeah.
It displaces bad behaviour to the pub down the road or to the area or the car park and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, in terms of this, I think we've got to decide what's it for.
The security staff can't be everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
So that is a useful aid.
Changing the physical environment is just not enough. You've also got to learn to control people's behaviour, and that's why numbers of pubs are now employing security staff. Now, their strength's not in a fist, it's in the voice, the ability to talk a situation down. And so it's not just men who are going on the doors. Even someone like me can be trained how to stop an argument turning nasty. A fight is erupting in a pub. By this time, bar staff or bouncers would have stepped in to try and calm things down. But it's still far from certain violence won't break out. It all depends upon the way that the situation is handled. This is not a reconstruction. It's CCTV footage from a pub in York filmed last year. The two people highlighted are bouncers trying to eject people from the pub. All appears to be going well. Then this happens. Then it starts to get really nasty. Amazingly, the doorman only received cuts and bruises, but their attackers got 6 months imprisonment for a fray. The problem for those who run pubs is knowing how to stop arguments turning into brawls. I've come to meet a couple of blokes who specialise in conflict training. Get back! This is not just a fact-finding mission. The only way for me to find out what a bouncer is up against is to be one. So I've volunteered to go on the door of the Crazy Horse. But before I do, I'd better learn some basics. First, self-defence.
You can go through, push me. Oi, you come here, go on! Right, excellent. So, like it. Good.
You obviously had a good night.
And now a bit of role play. How to handle the drunk.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be allowed to admit you tonight because you've had a little bit too much to drink.
And then that old chestnut. You've given me the wrong change.
But you can say whatever you want.
Listen, if the money isn't in the till, and it might not be, because guess why it isn't in the till? It's because it's in his pocket.
But what about the row we saw earlier? The trick is to remove the quieter one, not the person who's doing all the shouting.
Well, no. Leave her!
It's Saturday night at the Crazy Horse Saloon. There's no going back now as my shift as door supervisor begins. Well, I've had the training and I've certainly got the jacket, but I rather suspect it's going to be a little bit different in practice compared to what it was like in the classroom. And I don't really know what I'm going to face tonight. I mean, after all, this afternoon was the FA Cup final, but it's time to go. Well, I'm glad I've got this jacket on now. Peace, nice and warm. Bye, good night. At times I was left on my own on the door when things got a bit lively in the pub. I wasn't that bothered, but I certainly didn't feel larger than my 5'4½". You've been in already, haven't you? Yeah, go on.
Good evening.
Evening. Oh, it's all flocking in now, they've seen the camera. Yeah, we know.
Come on, you got some more ideas, please, mate.
It's It's now about 10:15, and I realised I forgot the vital bit of kit for a door person, and that's the gum. It had been a quiet night overall on the door, but I still had to face one of the most difficult situations for a bouncer, and that's getting people to drink up and leave. Half of all violence in pubs happens in the last hour of trading, so I had to tread carefully. Good and steady, that one. He is. Maybe we should take him out for Dave. I'll ask you to leave that more nice than they will, you see. Go on. Go on. You're right. Steady, steady. You're making it, aren't you? One more step. Come on. You take him out. No. Come on. Off we go. It's full. See you. Good night. Now, people have had their fun and they just want to get home. We've all heard warnings about not getting into unlicensed minicabs, so surely people wouldn't. Or would they? We decided to send David to find out.
Young people crowd the streets of Coventry. The longer they're around, the more likely there is to be trouble. Used properly, licensed taxis or minicabs can be the safest way home. But often, safety concerns get left behind in the rush.
Black cabs for hire, but minicabs or private hire vehicles can't be hired from the streets. And unless you've pre-booked one, you shouldn't get into a private hire vehicle. And if you do, you won't be covered by insurance. What's worse, you might be being driven by someone who isn't what they seem.
Like me. This minicab is a crude fake. A false sign, but no telephone number, stickers, or private hire license on display. But what it does have is a secret camera on board. And what our tapes show is just how careless people can be when they need a ride home.
Is he coming? Yes, we've got a customer.
I've got a buggy.
That's okay, you've been waiting long.
No, just a couple of minutes.
Okay. So you don't mind just calling a cab like that? You wouldn't book ahead or anything like that?
No.
See, it's just that I don't normally drive a taxi. So it's just I've been learning all this stuff. I don't normally do this.
Even so, they keep on coming.
You don't mind the fact that this is a private hire vehicle?
No, it's fine. I've flagged down private cars before, and they've said, you know, if anybody asks, then just say I've called from someone.
He knows the ropes because there are plenty of minicab drivers who illegally pick up people on the street. But their passengers could be putting themselves at risk, which gives Coventry's licensing authorities cause for concern.
There are a number of cases where people in private hire vehicles were attacked by drivers, unscrupulous drivers, or even unlicensed drivers.
Somebody trying to hire me there as we're driving along. How would you stop someone like me just putting a sign on their roof and acting as a taxi?
We have staff out on the street checking to see if people are getting in, and we have on occasions in the past used entrapment. That's what we need to do if we're to actually get the rogue drivers off the streets.
The real rogues are completely unlicensed, like me. On to Exeter and another outing for Dave's car. This time, just a plain old Sierra. No hint of being a real cab at all. No cab license plate, not even a sign. Still, no shortage of customers.
Are you sure yours? Are we all right to get in here?
As long as you realise that I'm not pre-booked and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I could be anybody.
But I don't really care as long as you get us home. You're just like driving along the road and thinking, oh, it's
I don't really care.
No.
You don't care?
No. He's going the wrong way.
I'm going to have to go up here. No. Well, I'm going to go up this way because...
Not surprising, really, that I didn't know the way. But it seems, however incompetent and unconvincing the driver...
We should be able to, but just remember I can't get that way because of the...
However unlikely the vehicle...
Okay. That's no shot.
However uncomfortable a journey, it's home at all costs.
Listen, what I've actually been doing is filming for the BBC. You're on camera at the minute. So
no!
Was I sensible? Was I sensible? I'm going to actually put you in a proper taxi, and we'll pay for that for you.
In Wolverhampton, where they've seen a swift expansion in nightlife, they've gone for a novel solution. Late buses with a bouncer on board.
The buses are there every hour, pulling off. It saves you the bother of trying to find a taxi walking around town.
And they'll drop you off anywhere along the route home.
It means that it's a way of getting the people away from the town safely and clearing the town quickly when the 2 o'clock turnout comes, and it makes life safer and better for everybody.
It works in Wolverhampton, where, like most places, there'll never be enough legal cabs to cover the late night rush, and it leaves less of an opening for the cowboy cabbie to step in.
Mind how you go.
We return to the Crazy Horse on Sunday morning. Time to bring back Brian, the owner of the pub, to see what changes we've made.
Whoa.
First thing you notice is the carpet,
Yeah,
isn't
right.
it? So just try and soften the entranceway, make it a little bit more welcoming and friendly. I don't know what you think of that, but we put a rug on the wall, just again the idea of trying to sort of soften the wall,
That'd look
tone
nice,
it down a bit.
on the floor, let's put it that way.
All right. Well, that's the first thing we've not got quite right. We noticed there was a bit of a bottleneck. We've widened the stairs quite a lot, and so this allows people to move through to the bar and move back to their seats, quite free-flowing.
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
This bit here is so busy in the evenings that everything gets so tight and claustrophobic, people are getting hot and tensions get high. So the best thing to do to reduce the tensions was this thing here, which is your own air conditioning system.
Baz and Howard had discovered that the pub had an upstairs, which gave them an idea.
When you come up the steps, you've got all this space here upstairs that can be put to better use. And 2 ideas that I came up with, it was either raising the height of the ceiling to give it a lot more of a airy feel down here, feel less claustrophobic, or the other alternative is to have it like an open gallery or balcony, and then
we'll be able to use all the space upstairs.
Pool table causes people quite a bit of frustration. I think it blocks access to the bar, people have to push past. I think it could be a potential hotspot.
I can understand what you're saying. On a busy night, we do tend to move it out of the way, as you know, but it does make quite a bit of money during the week. Possibly, if you need to move it, if we have this galleried area, that will create a bit of space upstairs, maybe we could put it upstairs.
I'll show you your new CCTV system. I need a little crate just to get on here so I can reach the buttons.
Yeah, looks good.
This is your new camera, which covers the sort of pool table area in back, all the way down on the dance floor.
Yeah, good idea.
And generally, you've noticed the whole coverage is much sharper and clearer than your old system. 3, again, we've repositioned that, give you much better coverage, much sharper picture. And this is perhaps the most important one, because we were concerned about the areas around the loos not being covered. Because before you'd only covered the ladies' loos. We've repositioned the camera here, so you've got ladies and gents' loos covered there.
I think one of the things that we should stress is that in most cases pubs and clubs are a safe environment for people to enjoy themselves. But in those places where you do have trouble, people should obviously consider that option of designing out crime, as we have done in your premises.
Yeah, I'm very keen to do that. It looks like you've done a pretty good job, really.
Well, having said all that, tell us the truth, what do you really think?
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's the carpet's excellent, it really gives a good good feel as you walk in. We've got to lose this rug, and we could probably use it to cover up this CCTV, because it really doesn't go with the decor.
That's all from the Crime Squad for today. Next week, we'll be taking on the burglars and showing you how to keep your home safe. That's next Monday at 7:30. In the meantime, from all of us here on the Crime Squad, good night.
At 9, the diplomatic manoeuvring over the Kosovo peace deal has been stalled by the Russians tonight. Is it breakdown or merely delay? Can the Serbs be persuaded or forced to back down and finally let NATO troops go in and take the refugees home? Join me at 9.
With a suit like that, you've got to be on the other side of the law. You look like a bag of manure, Andrew. It's just like last time.
Well, it's too early to be talking about last time, okay?
You can't go on like this.
I can't stop. Nasty things, Tempers.
New drama. Revenge is never sweet.
Obviously, you're no test of it.
It'll keep you guessing. DL and Pasco. Starts Saturday, 8:10, BBC 1. Will Jason have time for his girlfriend?
Work I can just about deal with. Mad girlfriend, I can't.
Catch up with the people of Paddington Green starts Wednesday at 10:20 on BBC One.
In the fight against car crime, be prepared. Know your enemy. And strike to win. Car Wars continues in half an hour on BBC One.
Street or town to give advice and offer solutions. Today, the crime squad's come here to the Crazy Horse Saloon in Exeter to look at one situation that really concerns us, and that's violence in pubs. We'll be looking at what we can do to this pub to make it a safer place to drink. We'll also be looking at other aspects of personal safety as well. But first, let's meet the team. First, there's Detective Inspector Howard Groves of the Metropolitan Police. You may already have heard of Howard because he was on holiday in New York once when, unarmed, he collared a gunman. Well, what have you been getting up to?
Jess, we've been trying to find out what happens if you come across a crime in the street. And the question is, would you have a go?
Howard teamed up with Private Detective Zena Scott Archer to find out would you step in if you saw an assault.
I'd have probably ended up, sparking the guy myself.
And next, there's our very own criminologist, Professor David Wilson. And sitting next to him is Constable Baz Javid of the Avon and Somerset Police. Now these two have been finding out whether we lay ourselves open to crime.
That's right, Jess. I've been trying to find out if people are happy to hop into unlicensed minicabs late at night.
And I've been to busy shopping centres to give people some advice on how to prevent getting mugged.
I'll have that.
All right.
And finally there's me. In real life I'm a barrister, but this weekend I decided to try my hand at being a bouncer.
You've been in already, haven't you? Yeah, go on.
Well, you've now met the team, so it's time to get going.
If we just butt in for a moment. Brian, I know you've been chatting with the guys about the problems you've had running the pub. What exactly has been going on?
Well, basically, Jess, we took over this pub about 8 weeks ago. It was a notorious trouble pub. We've turned it around and themed it as the Crazy Horse Saloon, which now we are very busy, but I do feel that the ambience is not quite right.
I mean, you're still suffering from skirmishes and so on?
We do get the odd skirmish on the weekend, which I'm sure you'll probably see.
Last week, Baz dropped into the Crazy Horse Saloon to find out exactly what we were up against.
From my experiences of being on patrol, there's only so much you can learn about a pub during the day. It's now 9:30, it's a Saturday evening, and I'm outside the Crazy Horse. I'm going to go inside and see if there's any real crazy horses in there. It doesn't take a genius to realise that this is a fun pub, with people constantly coming and going. But what was surprising is that the pub gets 700 people through its doors on a Saturday. That's a lot for a pub this size. I've been here for a while now. It's absolutely heaving. There's no space at all to move about. It's still, the music's very loud, but most of all, it's extremely hot. Gonna definitely have...
If you've ever been worried about your safety, out on the streets or in the pubs, then this is the programme to watch. Welcome to the Crime Squad. Hello, I'm Jess Redford, part of the Crime Squad, here to tackle crime. Each week we'll investigate a different problem brought to our attention by you at home, and we hope to make a difference. From car crime to vandalism, our team of experts will come to your...
Do something to bring your temperature down, cool things down a little bit. It's been an absolutely wild night tonight. There's been so much happening, but there's a lot that can be done. Some examples are just like I mentioned earlier on, the temperature, that can be turned down to cool things down a little bit. The most obvious thing is the spaces. There's so many tight gaps that people have to get through to get somewhere. The dance floor, you have to walk straight through the dance floor to get to the toilets, or even the stairs, so tight, people bumping into each other all the time. There's so much that can be done.
Only a few of us will be likely to encounter violence in pubs and clubs, but the statistics do make grim reading. It's Friday morning.